Frank Lampard is a Rizzler paper away from losing his job, and with it, his managerial credibility. Joining me to help me discuss this painful issue is my dear friend, the wonderful Ade Oladipo. Ade, it's been far too long, my friend.
It has. We need to start getting busy with these. I think people miss them. They enjoy the chat. I enjoy the chat. Bit of banter. And it's a difficult subject for us to come back with, isn't it? Your mate, Frank Lampard.
It's bad, isn't it? It's really looking bad. It actually feels to me now that it's sort of insurmountable. I don't think that he can rescue this. I don't think there is a world in which he can be manager of Everton at the end of the season.
No, it's not possible. I mean, you said Rizzler paper. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it. You said his managerial credibility. I'm probably going to take it a step far and say his managerial career, if I'm honest with you. I mean, tactically, he looks like he's out of his depth when he comes up against good managers. And look, some people might say the board at Everton haven't really done him any favours. I don't know about that. I look at the signings he brought in the summer. Tarkowski, Cody to shore up the back line. Idrissa Gueye came back to the club. Onana came in. There's been some good signings there, So defensively, he's built them up solid, but then you can see 4 at home to Brighton in the first 54 minutes. Could have been more, by the way. They put the handbrake up. You can't find a goal from anywhere. It's not going to be working with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You brought Mope in. He can't score. He never scored for Brighton, really. So there's been some mistakes. He probably would have wanted a bit more back in, but ultimately, it was always going to be a tough job. He took the club to 16th in the league last season. They survived. Congratulations. They're 16th in the league this season. They've not improved at all. And that's the problem. Yeah,
this is it. I'm going to be quite kind here. And just to explore
Surprise.
No, just to explore it. Annoyingly, I don't have a leg to stand on. I have to admit that you are correct. But I'm just going to explore this with you because I think there is something in it. And I think even the people that are passionate and proud Lampard detractors will have to admit that there is something in this. There are certain clubs where it does feel you are set up to fail. It makes me think that there are certain clubs in the league where, irrespective of who the manager is, there are so many problems in the way that the club is run that success is almost impossible and therefore failure is inevitable. Better managers than Frank Lampard have made a pig's ear of it at Goodison Park.
What's level of success, though? What are we talking? Because, again, Frank Lampard, we're talking flirting with relegation last season. Will 100% be in a relegation battle this season. That wasn't Carlo Ancelotti. That wasn't Marco Silva. That wasn't Roberto Martinez. I don't think it was even Ronald Koeman. So the other managers have failed. You're right. They've not done what they should have done. No one's done what David Moyes done. But I don't think it was never this bad. I was never thinking Everton relegation. I was always laughing when they didn't make top 4 of Europe. Never ever thinking Everton going to get relegated.
Carlo Ancelotti, let's use him as a case study. Carlo Ancelotti is arguably the best manager to have ever existed. I don't necessarily think that, but arguably that's true. He's the only manager to have won the domestic league in 5 top European countries. That is a record that I don't think will ever be beaten. The fact that he has gone everywhere and won the elite level trophies, he's arguably the best. He couldn't make it work, and Everton ultimately finished mid-table. So, okay, Ancelotti is way better a manager than Lampard, but I think you can make a case for Ancelotti underperforming far more significantly than Frank Lampard did.
Agreed with that. And he bought him some big players.
Bought him some big players, yeah.
Alain, Doucouré, I think a few others as well. So, look, I agree. But you just see things with Everton. Like, I was watching Everton against Man City, and they played 5 at the back against Man City. And ultimately, I think maybe even deserved the point. I think done well. Caught Man City on the break a couple of times. Stick to what got you that great result. They've gone home, and maybe they thought it's Brighton. He's gone to 4 at the back. He's gone a bit risky. And I'm like, what are you doing? You got a point at Man City with 5 at the back. Yeah. Stick with it.
Yeah.
Because
a point against Brighton's fine. It's a good point.
Brighton's okay. They're doing all right.
It's a good point.
Yeah, De Zerbi's come in and he's made them play good football. So, I don't know, man. I do feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him because, again, defensively, I think he's got it right. I think the midfield, although they haven't got many creators, I know people might say Iwobi, he's not going to put a ball on a plate for you, is he? It's just up front, they just have no one to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know what's happened to Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
This is the issue, though, Addy. You know how just there, this is almost creating a facade, a defence around Frank Lampard, because you've said De Zerbi's come in, and going into Brighton, it's a dream situation. I think Brighton are everything
perfect
that
club.
Everton are not.
Yeah, Brighton's the perfect club for a manager that you want to go in to do. I think you're going to get time. I think the fans kind of understand where they are, although they did boo Graham Potter at one stage. But I think the fans understand what they are. I think the club understands what it is as well. I still don't think Everton fans, accept where they are, and I don't think they understand what they are either. Are they a club that should be in Europe? Do they look at what West Ham done for the last couple of seasons and think, one second, why are we not doing that? We spent $500 million in the last 10 years. Where's our success? So it's a weird, sometimes expectations are massive.
Expectations at Everton are
through the roof.
Yes, they certainly. I think there are two clubs in the league where expectations will baffle the logical mind.
Who's the other one?
Tottenham.
Yeah,
I think Tottenham believe that they should be competing for the league, and they've won 2 League Cups since 1991.
Yeah.
Everton, I think they believe that they should be competing for the league, and on some level they are correct. The size of the club, the history of the club, the record of the club, what they achieved through the 80s with Graham Sharp and all that, they should be on some level competing at the very top. But what is it? 1995, Paul Rideout?
1995.
It's such a badly run club. And look, Lampard, I've had to change my approach. I honestly thought he was going to be a good manager. What he achieved at Chelsea, particularly that first season, effectively with the youth team, he took Chelsea into the top 4, into the last 16 of the Champions League, to the FA Cup final. I was so impressed.
They don't know how to adjust. And I say they because I'm putting Gerrard in the same bracket here just because, again, that golden generation, you want your childhood hero to succeed and they just don't know how to take that next step, it seems. Like they're good managers. When they come in, they'll fix a few things. They get the crowd sort of riled up and everyone will be like, oh, okay. And then it just, that next step. Because I'm looking at the team that Everton put out against Brighton. Iwobi, this is no joke, and obviously it's not he signing, Iwobi cost more than the whole of that Brighton 11. Iwobi, I want to repeat myself, cost more than the whole Brighton 11.
That's atrocious. And when you think about the players in that Brighton 11 as well, Caicedo and players like that.
Yeah, 4 million Caicedo. Yeah. Honestly, it's really, really bad. And look, even the players they've got, I mean, Idrissa Gueye, good player. Dwight McNeil, I think something's there. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Damari Gray, Conor Cody, Tarkowski. That team should not be conceding 4 at home after 54 minutes.
No, it was a spell of just complete and utter disarray, wasn't it?
Disarray.
Lack of
Whose fault is that then? Because they've got leaders on the pitch. Is that because they've got leaders? Tarkowski's a leader. Conor Cody, captain of Wolves, leader. Idrissa Gueye, leader. These are leaders on the pitch.
No, I think look, I would love to be able to say it and shift the blame away from Frank Lampard, but I wouldn't be doing that if it was Graham Potter, and I wouldn't be doing that if it was Thomas Tuchel, and I wouldn't be doing it if it was Jurgen Klopp. So it would be very disingenuous of me to try and create some sort of force field around Frank Lampard. I think he is at fault, but the reason why I don't think sacking him is the answer.
No, it is.
Or the reason why I think there is the reason why I think I have a point, and correct me if I'm wrong. Your point
is valid, by the way.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, sacking Frank Lampard, it becomes a sort of rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
We have been here before. The managers consistently change, but the results never do. Why is that? Every other club, they change the managers, and Chelsea change the manager and win a European Cup. Arsenal change a manager and ultimately challenge for a title. Liverpool change the manager and win a league for the first time in 30 years. Everton change a manager basically every 12 months.
And it's a different profile of manager as well.
Yes, a different style of
manager.
New protagonists, but ultimately the same result. The protagonist then departs and we're back to square one.
I think the biggest problem that Lampard has as well now is that there are good managers out of work. Experienced managers, especially if we are, and they're in a relegation battle. So when you've got someone like Sean Dyche, who's at home with his feet up, and you've got Lampard in there, I think most Everton fans, I think if you was to poll 100 Everton fans, I think 90 of them would say, get Dyche in now. Get someone that's experiencing right now, that has been there and has done it. And I know towards the end with Burnley it didn't go too well, but knows a few of their players as well, knows Dwight McNeil, knows Tarkowski, knows the Premier League. And I think that's the issue for him as well, that there are managers out there that will do a better job.
Do you think Frank Lampard, if he were to stay until the end of the season, say they decide we're going to persevere with him.
Yeah.
In fact, this is the question. This is what it's all about. If they persevere with Frank Lampard, do Everton go down?
Southampton go.
Yeah. Forest. You've got to say Forest next.
Don't know,
Forest go. Wolves get out of it. So it's going to be between Everton, Bournemouth, West Ham, Leeds. It's the fact that he's even in there again. I'm not, and this is not to dig Lampard on these signings, but I actually thought Conor Cody's a good signing. I thought Tarkowski's a good signing. Dwight McNeil's come in. Again, Onana, Idrissa Gueye. So as much as people like to say the board, he's kind of got
what I'm guessing he asked for. Like, I need to shore up the defence. I need to shore up the midfield. So they've given him a bit as well, and it's still not worked. Everton as a football club, look, we've seen big clubs go down, but Everton shouldn't be 16th in the league after spending £500 million. You know,
£500 million over 5-6 years.
£500 million over 5-6 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? You laugh about Chelsea and how much money they've spent in the last few years, but Chelsea will say to me, look, there's Champions League, there's the European Cup there, though. Do you know what I mean? They'll say that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's Premier League titles within recent memory.
They'll say, like, we've got it. Yeah, it's not. We shouldn't have spent the money, but look what we've got. Man City will do the same thing. Every other club that spent big money will say, open the cabinet. Here it is.
Everton are the very definition of more money than sense, aren't they?
Yeah.
And Brighton are the very definition of more sense than money.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So if you believe, I think this is ultimately what it comes down to. If you believe that persevering with Frank Lampard ends in relegation for Everton, then they have to sack him.
You get rid of him.
But if you believe that he keeps them up,
is that enough?
It's enough this season. It's enough this season. It was enough this season before a ball was kicked. It was enough this season in August. Simply surviving for Everton. Think about how poor they were last year.
Yeah.
Like this time last year, Addy, you and I weren't doing these videos, but literally this time last year, they lost to Brighton. 1 year, 1 day ago. We could have been sitting here exploring exactly the same thing. Is any club in an identically perilous position as Everton? Literally, they lost at home to Brighton a year ago.
Yeah, it's exactly the same position. So why keep him then?
Keep him to survive. If you look, this is what I mean. If you don't
think he's the man going forward, and I don't think there's any Everton fan. I was speaking to Everton fans today. If you don't think he's the man going forward, and Sean Dyche is out there, and you think you'd rather have him at the helm for a couple of years, get rid of him.
I don't think Sean Dyche is.
You don't think?
It's a project. Sean Dyche you would bring in to potentially keep you up.
I don't think it's a project. You know, Everton need to reevaluate what they are as a club right now.
Very uninspiring for Everton.
Mate, they're not what we've...
Everton aren't Burnley. You're putting Everton and Burnley in the same sort of equation.
I'm putting in a better manager than Frank's out there. Get the better manager. Honestly, that's what I'm doing. And maybe a cheaper manager. I mean, maybe cheaper as well. More experience, knows the league, knows a few of the players. I think Frank's out of his depth. Obviously, I tried to dig you a bit and rib you a bit, but he's out of his depth here. And my worry for Frank now is that could be that as a Premier League manager. And we see someone like Scott Parker's gone abroad. It might have to be that if he wants to continue his managerial sort of career, because this hasn't worked out. It was always going to be risky. It's just not worked out. I don't even know the style of football. You know, when you look at Vieira at Palace, and look, they're not that far off in points, to be honest, Everton and Palace. Obviously different.
But nobody's saying Palace are going down.
No one's saying Palace are going down. You look at the style of player and you see it. Flying wingers, big, strong guys. You look at it, all right, I don't know what he's done there in a year.
Yeah, I know. And do you know what's quite sad about the whole thing for Lampard? I think you are correct. If this goes the way it's looking like it's going to go, he's just got to be in the studio, hasn't he?
He's got to be in the studio. Or like what Scott Parker's done. Scott Parker had a couple of jobs, Bournemouth and Fulham. He got sacked by both of them. Scott Parker now is in Club Rouge.
Yeah, but Frank Lampard's...
He ain't going to go there. He's not going to do that. So it's going to be...
Effectively, what you're suggesting is Frank Lampard takes a job in the Championship or something like that.
Or a club in Europe that's in the Champions League. A club in Europe that's in the Champions League, away from all the spotlight, learn a bit more on European football, and go again.
Maybe he needs to do that. You know the Eddie Howe thing. You know when Eddie Howe went over to Spain to study Diego Simeone, Eddie Howe realised that he couldn't set up a defence. His Bournemouth team were too leaky.
Now look at them. Now look
and then against Arsenal, they put in a Atletico Madrid performance.
There you go. Newcastle have conceded less goals than anyone in the league. It's not coincidence.
That's so you're leaning towards Dyche here, aren't you?
I'm leaning towards him getting sacked.
Right, and then Dyche.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I mean, Roberto Martinez's name.
No.
His name's been linked. I'm sorry. I'm not leaning towards that.
Back.
His name's been linked because he's available.
Yeah,
no, I'm with you. I think Sean Dyche is the only one. I mean, look, there are others out there, and Bielsa's out there. There's managers out there. Bielsa's out there.
He could take you down though. Like if you need somebody, he might not.
Take you down.
He could finish 10th.
It could be 10th, or it could be.
He could take you down.
Rock bottom.
Yeah, managers like that could take you down. There's no guarantee.
Pochettino's out there. Pochettino's out there.
Pochettino can't be fancying a relegation battle.
No, he can't be, but he wants to get back. Look, Pochettino will probably be waiting for Conte to leave, but that's what I'm trying to say though. There are bigger managers, better managers out there right now.
Yeah,
that's the problem that Frank has as well.
It is truly terrible. There we have it. Thank you, Addy. Thank you for exploring
Sorry,
this with
dude.
me.
I didn't want to do this to you. I really didn't. But if Gerrard can get sacked, so can Lampard.
Yeah,
They both can go and play golf in Dubai or something.
You are completely correct. Make sure that you subscribe to Addy's YouTube channel. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video. It has been painful, but if you've enjoyed it, please give it a like. Please click subscribe, and we'll see you all in a bit. Ta-da.